No land is a nation of itself. A nation is only the people who make up its population. The nation, which is the United States of America, is called the melting pot of the world. Its people come from all other nations of the world, persons of every race. The United States of America is visible, living proof that in a free society, the people of all the nations of the world can live together and work together in peace and harmony. To become a citizen of the United States, you must first understand how and why this is true. You must be willing to live by the principles and the laws which have made it true. When you apply for naturalization as a citizen of the United States, you will be required to show your knowledge and understanding of the fundamental principles of the United States government, the Constitution, and the important historical facts relating to the development of the United States. On these subjects, the naturalization examiner will ask you whatever questions he may choose. There is no standard examination. Because your examination will be conducted in the form of questions and answers, we will conduct our lessons in the same form. We will begin with the history of the United States, how it began and why, how it grew and developed into the great and free nation it is today. America was discovered in the year 1492 by a Genoese navigator in the service of Spain. Who was he?
Christopher Columbus.
Why did Columbus call the people he found in this new land Indians?
He called them Indians because he thought the land he discovered was part of the Indies, the name used then for India and the Orient.
By discovery and conquest, Spain claimed most of the area now known as Central America and South America, Mexico, and a part of the Pacific coast of North America called California. France claimed the general area known as Canada and all of the North American continent between the two coasts. What country in Europe claimed the Atlantic coast between the French and Spanish possessions?
England.
What was the first permanent English settlement in North America?
Jamestown, settled in 1607.
In 1620, a group of people sailed from England to the New World in a ship called the Mayflower. They founded Plymouth Colony on the shore of Cape Cod Bay. Why did they come to America?
They came to America to gain religious freedom, so they could worship as they pleased.
These colonists, known as the Pilgrim Fathers, drew up and signed a document called the Mayflower Compact. Why was this document important?
Because the Mayflower Compact was the first written plan for democratic self-government in America.
Other colonies were settled and grew rapidly, but they were not drawn together by any common cause until the French and Indian War. This was the final struggle between France and England for the possession of North America. When did that war take place, and what was its result?
The French and Indian War lasted from 1754 to 1763. England won all of Canada from France, and all of the land claimed by France between the English colonies and the Mississippi River. The colonies learned the value and the strength of working together.
How many colonies were there before the Revolutionary War?
13.
Name them.
Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island.
Did all these colonies belong to England?
Yes.
On July 4th, 1776, something happened to change this. Do you know what it was?
On that day, the colonies declared themselves free from England by adopting a Declaration of Independence.
That's right. And we still celebrate the 4th of July as Independence Day, a national holiday. Do you know why the 13 colonies wanted to be free from England?
It was because England taxed the colonies so much on things they needed, like lead and tea and paper, and so on.
That was partly it. But actually, there were much greater reasons, issues of principle that were much more important than the payment of any amount of taxes. These issues were important to what the colonists considered the rights of free men.
Like taxation without representation.
Yes, the colonists were taxed by the government of King George III in England without regard for the needs, problems, or conditions of the colonies. And they were not permitted to have representatives in the English government to speak on their behalf. Can you give me some more reasons why the colonies declared themselves independent?
Large numbers of British troops were quartered in the homes of colonial civilians. The colony's direct trade with the rest of the world was cut off by laws which restricted colonial trade and shipping. In many cases, colonists were taken from their homes to England for trial, or were deprived of trial by jury altogether. By order of King George III, colonial charters were taken away, the laws of the colonies were abolished, and the colonial legislatures were suspended.
Yes, these were some of the reasons, and there were many more. As a matter of fact, the colonists held a Continental Congress in 1774 to petition King George III for a peaceful settlement of the problems created by his harsh policies. And for this act, the king called them rebels. Actually, the first shots of the Revolutionary War were fired in 1775 at Lexington between regular British troops and armed civilians of the Massachusetts militia, who were called the Minutemen. Fighting continued for more than a year after that, until the colonists finally decided that their only course as free men was to declare themselves independent of England. This they did in one of the most significant and most moving documents ever written by man.
When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
Those are the opening paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence, words of beauty, words of meaning, words of truth. Try to learn them, to remember them. They are words to carry in your heart. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These words form the pattern and the substance of true American thought and life. But American freedom was not gained by a simple declaration. How did the colonies finally gain their freedom?
They fought the Revolutionary War from 1776 to 1781.
Who was the commander of the colonial army?
George Washington.
Yes, George Washington, who later became the first president of the United States. Who won the Revolutionary War? What happened to the 13 colonies after it was all over?
The American colonies won the Revolutionary War and became a new nation, the United States of America.
What was the first plan of government for these 13 original states?
The first plan of government for the 13 original states was called the Articles of Confederation. It was drawn up in 1776 and remained in use for several years after the Revolutionary War.
Why was it not a good plan for government?
The Continental Congress had no power to control commerce. It could not levy taxes, it could not issue money, it could not establish courts of law. The result was that it was not an effective national government. Each of the states printed its own money, different from all the rest, and the states fought over boundary lines.
What did the states do to straighten out the situation?
In 1787, a constitutional convention was held in Philadelphia with George Washington as chairman. This convention drew up the Constitution of the United States of America.
All the states but one were represented at the Constitutional Convention. Which state was not represented?
Rhode Island.
Why?
Because it was such a small state, Rhode Island was afraid that it would not have enough representation in a strong federal government to protect its own interests.
When did the Constitution go into effect?
In 1789.
Is the Constitution we have today the same one that was written back in 1787?
Yes, with amendments added over the years.
After the original 13 states had become a real nation with a strong central government, how did the United States of America grow?
In the peace treaty following the Revolutionary War, signed in Paris in 1783, Great Britain ceded the territory west to the Mississippi River to the United States.
Then came one of the greatest land buys of all time, the Louisiana Purchase. What was the Louisiana Purchase, and when did it take place?
In 1803, the United States purchased the territory of Louisiana from France. The territory stretched west from the Mississippi River to the regions along the Pacific coast.
The Lewis and Clark expedition set out to explore the Louisiana Territory through wild country where no one but Indians had ever traveled before. Although few expected them to come back alive from such a long and dangerous journey, the Lewis and Clark expedition went even beyond the limits of the Louisiana Territory into Oregon and returned to tell of the wonders of the country. What came next?
The United States purchased Florida from Spain in 1819.
How and when did Texas join the United States?
Americans living in the Mexican province of Texas won independence from Mexico and established the Lone Star Republic in 1836. In 1845, Texas was admitted to the United States of America.
The United States grew some more in the following year of 1846. What addition was that?
England dropped its claims to Oregon, and the territory became a part of the United States.
Just 2 years later, in 1848, following the Mexican War, the United States paid $15 million for territory ceded to it by Mexico. What was that territory?
California.
That's right. And one more piece of land in the Southwest was bought from Mexico in 1853 in a transaction called the Gadsden Purchase. That purchase completed the boundaries of the present continental United States. The territorial growth of the United States was interrupted, its very existence as a unified nation threatened by a tragic and terrible conflict. The years were 1861 to 1865. The President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. What was this war?
The Civil War.
What were the main causes of the Civil War?
Slavery and states' rights. The agricultural southern states wanted to keep Negro slaves so they would have cheap labor for their farms and plantations. Because of that, and other things on which they disagreed with the federal government, they no longer wanted a strong central government.
And the North?
The northern states were against slavery. They wanted a strong federal government to keep order and unity among all states.
In 1861, the South seceded from the Union and formed the Confederate States of America, electing Jefferson Davis as president. Almost immediately, the nation was plunged into war. Which side won the Civil War?
The North.
And what did the Civil War accomplish?
Slavery was abolished, and the Union of the United States of America was preserved.
Yes. In 1865, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution was adopted to abolish slavery forever from the United States. And just 5 years later, former slaves were granted the right to vote by the 15th Amendment.
We say truthfully that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Equally true, though, is the fact that he did not do it alone. He was the voice, the expression of the will of Americans who carried in their hearts the words of the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal. He was the leader and the symbol of free American citizens who could not and would not long tolerate oppression of any kind in their midst, and who were willing to fight to guarantee the blessings of freedom to others as to themselves.
After the Civil War, the United States acquired other territorial possessions, including Puerto Rico, the Panama Canal Zone, and several islands. 2 territories outside the continental boundaries of the United States became the 49th and 50th states of the Union. One of them was bought from Russia in 1867 and was known as Seward's Folly. What territory was that?
Alaska.
What was the other territory?
Hawaii. It became a possession of the United States of its own free will in 1898.
From the seeds of freedom, planted in a tiny colony on the shores of a new world, has grown a great and mighty nation. Its generosity is legend. Its growth, its strength, its dedication to the freedom and dignity of all mankind, unparalleled in the modern world. Its citizens are of every race, every religion, every national origin, joined together as Americans by a common love of liberty. In New York Harbor, standing tall and bold against the sky, is a beacon to the world, the Statue of Liberty. The spirit for which it stands is expressed in these lines, engraved on a tablet in its pedestal.
Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
It has 13.
The American flag. We call it Old Glory, the Star-Spangled Banner, the red, white, and blue, the stars and stripes. By whatever respectful and affectionate name, it flies bright and bold and brave as the insignia of freedom. What can you tell me about the American flag?
It has 13 alternate red and white stripes to represent the original 13 colonies, and 50 white stars on a blue field to represent the 50 states of the United States.
What do the colors stand for?
The red stands for bravery and strength, the white for purity and honor, the blue for loyalty, justice, and truth.
When was the American flag authorized by Congress?
On June 14th, 1777. In memory of that, June 14th is observed every year as Flag Day.
How many stars were there in the first American flag?
13. Later, a new star was added for each state admitted to the Union.
You should learn the rules for proper handling and display of the flag. You will find them in publications of the Immigration and Naturalization Service and in books in the public libraries. You should know the pledge to the flag. You see, Americans do not pledge their allegiance to any man or political party. Instead, we pledge our allegiance to the flag as the symbol of the democratic ideals of the Constitution and the laws of the United States. Will you say it with me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In this lesson, we will deal with the Constitution of the United States. You should read the Constitution from beginning to end, or have someone read it to you, to understand both the spirit and the content of this noble document. You will find the complete text of the Constitution printed in books in the public libraries and in publications of the Immigration and Naturalization Service. The Constitution is the highest law of the land. It is the basis or foundation of our government. It establishes and safeguards the rights which guarantee the personal liberty of all the people of the United States. Who wrote the Constitution?
55 men who represented 12 of the 13 states.
What state was it again that did not send a delegate to the Constitutional Convention?
Rhode Island.
Yes. Name some of the famous men who were in the group that wrote the Constitution.
George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, Benjamin Franklin, and James Madison.
And how was the Constitution adopted by the states? Did these 55 men just tell the rest of the people that they had to accept the decision of the Constitutional Convention?
No. The Constitution was adopted by vote of the people. 9 of the 13 states had to vote to accept it before it could be adopted.
The purpose of the Constitution is stated in its first paragraph, called the preamble.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
The key to the spirit, the meaning, and the enduring strength of the Constitution is in the first 3 words of that opening paragraph. We, the people. Because the Constitution is the foundation of a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now let's take these purposes of the Constitution one by one to make sure you understand them. First, what is meant by this? To form a more perfect union.
It means To get the states all working together for the good of all the people.
Next, to establish justice.
To set up a system of courts and laws that would guarantee the same rights and protection to everyone.
To ensure domestic tranquility.
That means to keep peace among the people and the states.
To provide for the common defense.
That is to protect the people from foreign enemies.
To promote the general welfare.
That means to do things that work for the good of all the people.
And last, to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity.
That means to make sure that the United States is kept a free country, not just for ourselves, but for our children and their children and all who come after.
Now, in order to accomplish these purposes, the Constitution had to provide for a good many things. Can you name the main provisions of the Constitution?
It provides for three main branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial. It tells the powers and duties of each branch and sets limitations on the powers of each. It says how the president and vice president and the senators and representatives are to be elected and fixes their terms in office. It also tells how they may be removed from office. It sets the limits of the powers of both federal and state governments. It tells how the states should work together and how new states may be admitted to the Union. It guarantees freedom and protection to every state. It provides for the making of treaties and laws and for the payment of public debts. It tells how the Constitution may be changed or amended.
In general terms, that covers the main provisions of the Constitution. Now, the last thing you listed was the provision for amending or changing the Constitution. Why do you think a provision like that would be included?
Because the men who wrote the Constitution were wise enough to know that the needs of the people change and new problems arise as time goes on.
Suppose that conditions did change considerably. Could the president amend the Constitution if he wanted to?
No.
Can any one person or group amend the Constitution?
No.
Then how can the Constitution be amended?
It can be amended when 2/3 of both houses of Congress are in favor of the amendment, and the legislatures of 3/4 of all the states ratify it.
Do you know what ratify means?
That means to approve or to authorize. So when the states ratify an amendment, they approve it.
Are there other ways to amend the Constitution?
Yes. One way is that amendments can be proposed by 2/3 of both houses of Congress and ratified by special state conventions in 3/4 of the states. Another way is that 2/3 of the states can ask for a special national convention to be called by Congress, and the amendments proposed by this convention may be ratified either by the legislatures of 3/4 of the states or by special conventions in 3/4 of the states.
Are there any other ways it can be done?
No.
In other words, the Constitution can only be changed by whom?
By the people.
Has the Constitution ever been amended?
Yes.
How many times?
22.
There is a special name for the first 10 amendments. What is it?
The first 10 amendments are called the Bill of Rights.
The Bill of Rights, the guarantees of personal liberty. These amendments are so important to the freedom and security enjoyed by the people of the United States that you should read and know and understand every single one of them. To make it easy for you, the full printed text of the first 10 amendments, comprising the Bill of Rights, is included along with this record. The printed text of the last 12 amendments is also included, and you should study them as well. If you cannot read them yourself, have someone read them to you. Now let's be absolutely sure you understand the meaning of the Bill of Rights. I want you to tell me in your own words what each amendment says.
The first amendment guarantees freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, the right to hold peaceable meetings, and the right to petition the government when the people believe they are not being treated fairly.
What does freedom of religion mean in everyday terms?
It means you may belong to any church you want to, and nobody can interfere with religious services or do anything to hurt any religious group in any way. It also means you don't have to belong to any church if you don't want to. In America, religion is a purely personal matter.
What is freedom of speech?
That means you have the right to say what you think. If your ideas or opinions are different from other people's, even if they are different from everybody else's opinions, you still have just as much right to say what you think as they do.
What is freedom of the press?
Freedom of the press means that anyone can write and print what he believes in books and newspapers and magazines, and can say what he believes on the radio and television too, without the government telling him what he can or can't say.
But what if somebody wants to criticize the government? What if he thinks the government is doing wrong and says so in public? Can he be put in jail?
No, that is the whole idea of free speech and free press. It wouldn't really be free if there were certain things people weren't allowed to talk or write about.
What is the Second Amendment?
The Second Amendment guarantees the right of the people to own weapons and to have a state militia.
What kind of weapons might ordinary people have?
They might have rifles and revolvers for hunting and target shooting, bows and arrows, hunting knives, and so on.
That's right. And some of these weapons could also be used to defend the people's homes. The right to own weapons is one of the guarantees of freedom, because it is recognition that every free man has the right to defend his own life and property. It is also a sign that the United States government is really free and secure, because in many other countries, the governments are afraid to let the citizens have guns. Now, what is a state militia?
That is a group of ordinary citizens, not soldiers, who are organized by each state separately to defend the state in time of emergency.
What is the Third Amendment?
The Third Amendment says that soldiers may not be lodged in private homes without the consent of the owners.
Now, what does that mean to you?
It means that soldiers can never just be moved in on me if I don't want them in my home.
It says, without the consent of the owners. What if you rent your house or apartment?
It is just the same as if I own it.
Tell me about the Fourth Amendment.
The Fourth Amendment says that no officer may search a house without a search warrant.
Does that apply to apartments too, or only to houses?
It means any private home, house, or apartment.
What is a search warrant?
A search warrant is a written order from a judge giving a police officer the right to search a home. Before a search warrant is issued, the officer has to show good cause to believe that stolen goods or other evidence of a crime is hidden in the house.
What of the Fifth Amendment?
The Fifth Amendment says that no person may be held to answer for a crime unless a grand jury has decided he should be brought to trial. No person may be forced to testify against himself. No person may be tried more than once for the same crime. Life, liberty, or property cannot be taken from any person without a fair trial. Private property cannot be taken for public use unless the owner is paid a fair price for it.
What is a grand jury, and how does it decide that a person should or should not be brought to trial?
The grand jury is a special group called together by the court. They hear the charges that are brought against a person, and if they think it looks as though he has committed a crime, they decide that he should be brought to trial in court.
In America, can a person be beaten to make him confess to a crime?
No, he cannot be forced to testify against himself by beating, threats, or in any other way.
What is the Sixth Amendment?
The Sixth Amendment guarantees to a person accused of a crime that he can have a quick and public trial before a judge and jury. Also, that he must be told the nature of the charge against him and the reasons he is accused. He must be confronted with the witnesses against him. Compulsory means for obtaining witnesses in his favor must be provided, and he is to have help of counsel for his defense.
Now, suppose you were accused of a crime. What would these guarantees mean to you?
First, I couldn't be held without being told why, what the charges were against me, and why they thought I might be guilty. Second, I could demand a trial as quickly as possible. Then any witnesses against me would have to stand up and face me in court. If I had some witnesses to help prove I wasn't guilty, the court would bring them in to testify for me. And if I could not afford to hire a lawyer, the court would appoint one to help me.
The Seventh and Eighth Amendments are easy to understand. The Seventh says,
In any lawsuit where the amount of money involved is more than $20, either party may demand a trial by jury.
and the Eighth,
No excessive bail can be asked, no excessive fines made, and no person punished in a cruel way.
the Ninth Amendment is a very important one. It says,
Even though they are not mentioned in the Constitution, the people have many other rights that go along with life in a free country, and these rights may not be taken away.
what would some rights be that are not mentioned in the Constitution?
The right to have a private home and family, to send one's children to free public schools or to private schools, to choose one's own job or profession, to earn money by one's own labor and to use it as one sees fit, to own property of all kinds, to dress as one pleases, and so on.
Those are a few of them. Now, the Tenth Amendment keeps certain authority for the people. It says,
Any authority not clearly given to the national government by the Constitution belongs to the states or the people.
that, in simple, everyday terms, is the Bill of Rights. It guarantees personal freedom to everyone in the United States. But always remember that along with the rights of freedom go the obligations of freedom. To respect and defend the right of every person to think and speak and act as freely as yourself. To never carry your freedom of speech and action to the point where it can hurt someone else. To bear arms and fight if called upon by the United States to defend the Constitution, which guarantees the rights and liberties of all. Now you have learned that the Constitution is the basis of the government of the United States. We will go on and learn how that government works. You have heard many times that America is a democracy. But just what is a democracy?
It is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
You can see that it would not be practical or workable to have all the citizens of the United States vote on every single law that is needed. It would be impossible to get anything done. So the United States, although it is a democracy, has a republican form of government. What is that?
A republican form of government means that the people still rule the country, but through representatives whom the people elect.
What is the national government and what is the federal government?
National government and federal government are both just shorter names for the government of the United States.
Where is the main headquarters of the federal government? In what city?
Washington, D.C.
You say Washington, D.C. Is D.C. a state?
No, the initials D.C. stand for District of Columbia. Because Washington is the capital of all the states, the District of Columbia was set up so that Washington would not be located in any one state.
Now, in the lesson on the Constitution, you said that the national government is divided into three branches: the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. What is each of these branches, and what does each one do?
The legislative branch is the Congress. It makes the laws. The executive branch is the president. He enforces the laws. The judicial branch is the courts. They explain the laws.
Why do you think the government is divided into three branches?
So the national government cannot hold too much power.
How does having three branches keep the government from getting too much power?
They act as checks and balances on each other.
Give me some examples. How can the president check the Congress?
When the Congress wants to do something, it is all written out in what is called a bill. Every bill has to be signed by the president to become law. The president can check the Congress by refusing to sign a bill. This is called a veto. So if the president vetoes a bill, he sends it back to Congress and gives his reasons for refusing to sign it.
Fine. Now, how can Congress check the president?
There are several ways. The Congress can pass a bill over the president's veto if 2/3 of Congress votes for it. The Senate may refuse to approve appointments made by the president, and it may refuse to approve treaties he might make with other countries. Also, if Congress thinks the president has failed to obey the laws of the country, the House of Representatives can bring a charge against him. The Senate may find him guilty of the charge, and he would be put out of office. This is called impeachment.
Those are three strong checks against any president ever becoming a dictator in the United States. His authority is always controlled by the representatives of the people. Now, how can the Supreme Court, the judicial branch, act as a check on Congress?
It can decide that laws passed by Congress are unconstitutional. That means they go against the Constitution, so they have to be changed or thrown out altogether.
That covers the checks. Where does the balance come in?
That means that each branch of government balances the power of the others, so the people have the final authority.
Just a little while back, you mentioned two things we haven't talked about yet: the Senate and the House of Representatives. Tell me what these are.
The Senate and the House of Representatives are the two houses of Congress.
And Congress is?
The legislative branch that makes the laws.
What is the Senate?
The Senate is made up of 2 representatives from each state. These representatives are called senators. The United States has 50 states, so there are 100 senators in the United States Senate.
The Senate has some authority that the House of Representatives does not have. Can you tell me what it is?
The Senate has to approve or disapprove appointments of people to government offices made by the president. It approves or disapproves all treaties with other countries by a 2/3 vote. It tries impeachment cases.
Yes, you said before, remember, that if the House of Representatives decided to impeach the president, which is to charge him with not obeying the laws of the country, he would be brought to trial before the Senate. Go on.
If the electors failed to elect a vice president for some reason, the Senate would choose one.
How do people get to be senators?
They are elected by the people.
How long is the elected term of a senator?
6 years.
All right. Now tell me about the House of Representatives and any special duties or powers that House of Congress might have.
The states are represented in the House of Representatives according to their populations. In other words, each state sends one representative to this House of Congress for every so many people who live in that state. Regardless of population, though, every state must have at least one member in the House of Representatives. Some states with big populations have a lot of representatives, and states with small populations may only have 1 or 2.
You should find out how many representatives there are from your state and who they are. How do persons get to be representatives?
They are elected by the people.
And how long is a representative's term in office?
2 years.
Go on telling me about the House of Representatives. It has some authority that the Senate does not have.
All tax laws must begin in the House of Representatives. Also, only the House of Representatives has the power to impeach an officer of the national government. And if the electors fail to elect a president, the House of Representatives may elect someone to be president.
We know now the special authority of each House of Congress. We know that they work together to make the laws needed for the good of the people. What kind of laws can the Congress make?
Congress has authority over money and trade among the states and trade with foreign countries. It also has authority over railroads, airlines, ships, gas and electric lines, and so on that cross state boundaries. Because it has authority over money, it can also levy taxes. Congress has authority over national defense to keep the country safe from any enemy. That takes in the Army, Navy, and Air Force, and all the things they need. Congress may declare war if necessary.
Because some laws should be exactly the same in all states, Congress also has authority over such things as post office, carrying the mail, immigration, standards of weights and measures, and others that involve problems too big for any one state to handle. There are some laws that Congress may make that are not listed in the Constitution. They come under the heading of laws to promote the general welfare, in other words, the good of all the people, and laws that are needed to let Congress carry out the work that it is supposed to do for the people. We know that there are also some kinds of laws that Congress may not make. What are some of them?
Congress may not tax exports, things that are sold to countries outside the United States. It cannot make laws that go against the Bill of Rights or any other part of the Constitution. It cannot make laws on things reserved to the states.
The effect of these limitations is that the states and the people have still more protection against any Congress getting too powerful. How does Congress go about passing a bill? Remember now that a bill is a proposed law. It does not become a law until it is signed by the president.
When a senator or representative thinks a new law is needed, he writes a bill. The bill is read and talked over in both houses of Congress. If a majority of the members of both the Senate and the House of Representatives vote in favor of the bill, it is sent to the president for his signature. If either house votes against it, the bill is thrown out. Bills may start in either house of Congress, except bills for new taxes, which may start only in the House of Representatives.
After action by Congress, the president has 10 days to sign or veto a bill. He can also just let it pass. The bill becomes law when the president signs it. If the president does not sign the bill and does not veto it, within 10 days after it is sent to him, it becomes law. Suppose after all these checks and balances, a law is passed that the people do not like. What can they do about it?
They can write to their senators or representatives. If enough people let their senators and representatives know how they feel, Congress should work to change the law. The people can get together and petition Congress for a change of a certain law, too. Petition means to ask in writing. If Congress does not act as the people want it to, the people should vote for different men at the next election to represent them better.
The United States of America is a nation ruled by laws, not men. No man is greater than the law, which is the will of the people.
The second branch of the national government is the executive. Who is the chief executive of the United States?
The president,
What other executive officers are there besides the president?
the vice president, and the president's cabinet.
Hold on now. You've used a new word here, the president's cabinet. Let's be sure you know what the cabinet is.
The president's cabinet is made up of the heads of the departments in the executive branch of the national government.
Go on. Tell me who these cabinet members are.
The Secretary of State, Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of Defense, the Attorney General, the Postmaster General, Secretary of the Interior, Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Labor, and Secretary of Health, Education, and Welfare.
How do they get to be cabinet members? Are they elected?
No, they are appointed as the department heads by the President and approved by the Senate.
How long is the term of a cabinet member?
Usually as long as the president who appointed him is in office.
That's right. And you should make sure that you learn the names of all the men who are now members of the president's cabinet. Let's get back to the president and the vice president. How are they elected?
By the people, through the electors of their states.
Well now, that will require some explanation. Who are the electors?
They are men chosen by the people in each state to vote for the president and vice president.
How does this system work?
The electors are nominated in their own states by each political party. Each political party also nominates one candidate for president and one candidate for vice president at a national convention. The two main political parties in the United States are the Republicans and the Democrats. The people in each state vote for the candidates they want to be president and vice president. If the Republican candidates for president and vice president get the most votes in a state, then we say the state goes Republican in that election. So the electors of the Republican Party would meet in their state capital and cast their votes for the Republican candidates.
And of course, if the state goes Democrat, the electors of the Democratic Party would meet in the state capital instead and cast their votes for the Democratic candidates.
After the electors of the winning political party in each state cast their votes, these votes are sent to Washington, D.C., where they are opened and counted in the United States Senate. The candidates of the party that gets the most electoral votes become the president and vice president of the United States.
How many electors are there for each state?
Each state is allowed as many electors as it has senators and representatives in Congress.
For how many years are the president and vice president elected?
4 years.
Can the president be re-elected? By that I mean, can one man be president for more than one 4-year term?
A president may be re-elected for only one additional 4-year term. No one can be president more than 2 terms in a row.
Where does the president live during his term?
In the White House in Washington, D.C.
Can the president and vice president come from the same state?
No.
You already know the president or vice president could be removed from office by being impeached. Has this happened to any president or vice president of the United States?
No.
Can a naturalized citizen become president of the United States?
No.
What about a child born in the United States to parents who are naturalized citizens? Could he become president?
Yes.
Then clearly, one of the qualifications for president and vice president is that he must be a natural-born citizen of the United States. What other qualifications must candidates have to be president or vice president?
They must be at least 35 years old, and they must have lived in the United States for at least 14 years before election.
Tell me what the president does. What are his duties?
To enforce the laws, to act as commander-in-chief of the armed services, to make treaties with other countries, to appoint many federal government officers, to sign bills into law or veto them. He may also recommend to Congress that certain laws be passed. He may call special sessions of Congress, and he may grant pardons.
And the duties of the vice president?
He is the presiding officer of the Senate, and in case the president should die or be removed from office by impeachment, the vice president would take his place.
You should know the names of the president and vice president of the United States. Let's go on now to examine the judicial branch of the national government. We know that the judicial branch is made up of courts. What courts are included?
The United States Supreme Court, circuit courts of appeals, a large number of district courts, and some special courts.
What are the main duties of the United States courts?
To explain the meaning of provisions of the Constitution and of the laws passed by Congress. To try all persons accused of breaking the laws of the United States. To settle disputes.
The Supreme Court is the highest court in the judicial branch and the highest court of the nation. How many judges, or justices as they are called, are there in the Supreme Court?
9. A Chief Justice and 8 Associate Justices.
How do they get to be justices of the Supreme Court?
They are appointed by the President. The President also appoints all other judges of the United States courts. All appointments must be approved by the Senate.
How long do they hold their offices as judges?
Judges of all United States courts are appointed for life or during good behavior.
If one of them fails to do his duty as a judge, how can he be removed from office?
By impeachment.
Where does the United States Supreme Court meet?
In Washington, D.C.
Are all the federal courts located in Washington, D.C.?
No, there are federal courts in every state and territory of the United States.
What kind of cases are tried by the Supreme Court?
Questions are about the meaning of the Constitution or laws passed by Congress. Questions about treaties with foreign countries. Suits against ambassadors and foreign ministers. Suits between states. And cases brought up from a lower federal court.
What kind of cases are tried by the circuit courts of appeals?
They try cases sent up from federal district courts.
And what kind of cases are tried by the federal district courts?
They hear cases that have to do with United States laws that come up for the first hearing.
This may also be the court that will have charge of your naturalization proceedings. There is at least one federal district court in every state, sometimes more. Your local post office can tell you where your nearest federal district court is located, and you should learn the name of the judge. There are also some special federal courts. Can you tell me what they are?
Court of Customs and Patent Appeals, Court of Claims, Courts of Customs, Courts for the District of Columbia, and courts in each territory of the United States.
We've covered the three branches of the United States government, what they are and what they do. But I'd like to return for a moment to something we passed over lightly at the time. Political parties. Although there are some smaller political parties in the United States, the main ones are, as we said earlier, the Republicans and the Democrats. Basically, the United States has what is called a two-party system. Why is it better to have a two-party system than just one party without any opposition?
By having two strong political parties, neither one can get too strong a hold on the government. People of different ideas and opinions join the different political parties, and the parties act as a check and balance on each other.
What is a primary election?
In the primary election, the people vote for the candidates for office from their own party to decide which ones will run in the general election that comes later.
And what is the general election?
In the general election, the people vote for their choice of the candidates who won the primary elections. The ones who get the most votes are elected.
Who can vote in an election?
Only citizens of the United States. They must be 21 years old or more and must have lived in the city, county, or state for the length of time required by the laws of the state. They also must have registered to vote.
That is for a national election. What about a city, county, or state? Do the same rules apply?
Yes.
The right to vote in genuinely free elections is the most precious freedom of all. All other rights stem from the right to vote, for it is by their votes that the people of a free nation determine their own destiny. Without this one basic right, all our other rights and freedoms would be endangered. Therefore, it is the duty of every American citizen to guard and ensure his right to vote by using that vote in every election, so that the strength of the people's determination to remain free will be known and respected.
Wherever you live in the United States, you will be living in a state. Each state is divided into counties. Each county contains one or more cities or towns. It is clear, then, that you must know the workings of the state, county, and city governments. Let's begin with the state. You remember that the powers of government are divided by the Constitution between the national government and the states. Does each state have its own separate government?
Yes, each state also has its own separate constitution.
Well then, if the United States Constitution is the highest law of the United States, the state constitution must be the highest law of each state. What if the provisions of a state's constitution disagree with the Constitution of the United States?
It cannot. No state constitution is permitted to disagree with the Constitution of the United States. The reason for that is to make sure the rights of all the people in all of the states are the same.
Are there any branches of state government?
Yes, they are the same as the federal government: legislative, executive, and judicial.
You know what each branch does in the federal government, so this question should be easy for you. Who makes the laws in the state?
The legislative branch, which is called the state legislature.
Are the state legislatures divided into a House of Representatives and a Senate, like the Congress of the United States?
Yes, all except Nebraska, which has only a Senate.
Do the state legislatures in general pass bills for the states in the same way as Congress passes bills for the nation?
Yes, a bill must generally be passed by both houses of the legislature and signed by the governor to become law.
What kind of laws would a state legislature be concerned with?
The states have every right and power not forbidden by the Constitution of the United States or by the Constitution of the state itself. So the state legislature would act on laws to help protect the health of its people, to help educate its people, to help protect the lives and property of its people, and to solve the special problems that might apply only to that state.
Be a little more specific, if you will.
They make laws for punishment of crimes, laws to regulate marriage and divorce, contracts, property, and businesses, laws to decide what a person must know to get a license to be a doctor or lawyer or anything that requires special knowledge.
They establish schools and hospitals and provide state roads and highways and police and prisons for criminals.
They also make laws to regulate working hours and safe working conditions, and to care for the sick, the poor, the mentally ill, and others who need help. Then they decide what taxes are required to pay for the things needed for the good of the people.
Where do the state legislatures meet?
They meet in the state capitol.
How do persons get to be state senators or representatives?
They are elected by the direct vote of the people.
The term of office of senators and representatives in the state legislatures is different in many states. So you should learn these things: the names of the senators and representatives who represent your district in the state legislature, and how long are their terms of office. One more thing: how can a member of the legislature be removed from office if he does not obey the laws?
By impeachment.
You can see that the form of state governments closely follows that of the national government in the United States. Each of the states has a chief executive also, as the United States has a president. What is the chief executive of a state called?
The governor.
And as the president has a vice president, in many of the states the governor has a what?
Lieutenant governor.
That's right. Who are some of the other state officers who help the governor?
The Secretary of State, who keeps the records of the state and helps carry out the election laws. The Attorney General, who is the chief law officer of the state. The state treasurer takes care of the state's money and pays the bills of the state. The state auditor keeps a close check on the financial records of the state to make sure there are no uncorrected mistakes or dishonesty.
There are also state officers in charge of transportation, health, education, water supplies, and many other things important to the well-being of the people of the state. To return to the governor for a moment, what are his duties?
He recommends laws to the legislature and enforces the existing laws. He signs or vetoes bills passed by the legislature. He appoints some state officers and is able to grant pardons. He is also commander-in-chief of the state militia.
And the lieutenant governor?
He usually presides over the state senate, and if the governor dies, resigns, or is impeached, the lieutenant governor takes his place.
How does a man get to be governor?
He is elected directly by the people of the state.
The same applies to the lieutenant governor, of course. How about the other executive officers of the states?
Some are elected by direct vote of the people, and some are appointed by the governor. Different states have different rules for this.
What protection do the people of the states have if one of their state executives does not do his job properly?
He may be impeached and removed from office.
You should know the names of the governor, lieutenant governor, and other executive officers of your state. You should learn the length of the governor's term of office in your state, and which executives are elected and which are appointed. The naturalization examiner will expect you to know these things. The judicial branch of every state is made up of a number of courts. What is the highest court of the state?
The state Supreme Court.
What is the purpose of a state Supreme Court?
To explain the laws of the state, to hear cases brought up from the lower courts, and to hear other cases which might be started in the state Supreme Court because of their importance to the state.
Where does the state Supreme Court meet?
In the state capital.
How do persons get to be members of the state Supreme Court?
In most states, they are elected by direct vote of the people of the state. In some states, they are appointed.
What other courts are there in the states?
There are district courts, county courts, municipal courts, police courts, and justices of the peace. There are also some special courts for children, orphans, small claims, and other special needs.
How do the officers of these lower courts get their offices?
Usually they are elected by the people for a number of years.
Are there political parties within the states?
Yes, mostly Republicans or Democrats. The city, county, and state political parties of all the states go together to make up the national political parties.
Does any state permit only one political party?
No, that would be against the United States Constitution.
A state is divided into smaller areas called counties. States have different numbers of counties based on the total size of the state and other factors. You should learn the name of the county in which you live. You will be expected to know this. The county has a number of important officers. Can you name some of them?
There is usually a county board of commissioners or supervisors, a county clerk, treasurer, surveyor, one or more county judges, county attorney, sheriff, clerk of the district court, county recorder of deeds, and sometimes others as they are required.
What are some of the duties of these county officers?
To help keep peace and order in the county, to keep records of property ownership, to build and repair county roads and bridges, to build and care for schools and hospitals, to help hold local, state, and national elections, to try persons who break the laws, to take care of the poor, to decide what taxes are needed to do these things for the people, to collect the taxes, and to pay the bills of the county.
Where will you find the officers of your county?
One town or city in each county is called the county seat. The county officers have their offices in the county courthouse, which is located in the county seat.
How do citizens get to be county officers?
Most county officers are elected by direct vote of the people who live in the county. Their terms of office are usually 2 to 4 years.
Learn the location of your county courthouse and the names of your main county officers. Let's go on now to the city government. Do cities have constitutions of their own?
No, cities have charters.
What does a charter mean in this instance?
A charter tells the name of the city, what its boundaries are, its form of government, and what the powers of that government are to be. In some states, the state government grants the charter, and in others, the city may write its own charter, which is called a home rule charter.
Is the plan of government the same for all cities?
No.
Then you must find out under what plan of government your city operates. You can find this information at a local library, courthouse, or at the city hall. What are the 3 main plans of city government?
A mayor city council, or a commissioner, or a city manager.
Describe a mayor-council city government.
The voters of the city elect a mayor, who is the executive officer, a city council, which is the legislative group, and, depending on the city, other various officials are elected. The mayor appoints the heads of the departments for the city, and the council must usually approve these appointments. The council passes bills for city laws. The mayor must usually sign these for them to become law, and he also usually has the right to veto them if he wishes. City laws are called ordinances.
What if the mayor does veto an ordinance passed by the city council? Can the council overrule him and make it into law anyway?
Yes, but in some cities a three-quarter vote of the council is needed to do so, and in other cities a unanimous vote is required.
Unanimous means?
That every member of the council must agree.
What is a commissioner plan of city government?
The voters of the city elect a small group who are called the commissioners. Sometimes the city is divided into districts, with each district electing one commissioner. The commissioners make the laws of the city and see that they are enforced, and each commissioner is usually the head of one or more departments of the city.
What is the city manager plan of government?
The people of the city elect a small council. The council makes the laws or ordinances of the city. The council chooses a city manager, whose job is to enforce the city ordinances. The city manager also appoints the heads of the departments who help him enforce the laws, and he suggests plans for improving the city and its services to the people. If he does not do a good job, the council may remove him from office.
Does a city have any kind of judicial system?
Yes, every city has some system of courts. In larger cities, there are municipal courts. In smaller cities and towns and villages, there are police courts and justices of the peace.
Are the officers of these courts elected or appointed?
That depends on the city. In some cities they are elected, and in others they are appointed.
What are some of the things that a city does for its people?
It provides police protection, fire protection, and health protection, sewage disposal, rubbish disposal, builds and cares for streets, sets safety standards for building, builds and cares for parks and playgrounds, and many other things.
It is because the city must provide so many services to the community that the city government usually has many different departments. These departments are sometimes called boards or commissions. Which department manages the public schools of a city?
The Board of Education, or School Board.
Some cities are divided into smaller units called districts or boroughs. Each of these divisions has an elected representative in the city government. You must know the names of your community representatives: alderman or commissioner or councilman, mayor, city attorney, and other important officials. It is essential that every citizen know what is happening in his own city and community, and that he take an active interest in its affairs.
Elected officials cannot truly represent the wishes of the people unless the people make those wishes known by voice and by vote. Yet people cannot vote intelligently and to their own best interest unless they keep themselves properly informed and exercise their best judgment on the basis of available facts. Therefore, in a free society, the ultimate responsibility for good government rests upon the governed. As they vote, so shall they have or have not.
We have talked of many things which must be done by the government of the city, the county, the state, and the nation. Roads, bridges, hospitals, schools to be built, Army, Navy, Air Force, police, firemen, to protect our lives and property. Care for the sick, the poor, the old, the orphan. Hundreds and hundreds of things to be done. They must be paid for. Where does the money come from?
Taxes and fees.
What are some of the taxes and fees that are collected by the cities, counties, and states?
Property tax, based on the value of the property, gasoline taxes, tobacco taxes, liquor taxes, sales tax. Some states charge a poll tax or head tax. Also, fees are charged for automobile licenses and other licenses of various kinds.
What are some of the taxes collected by the federal government?
An excise tax, that is charged on certain goods made or sold or used in the United States. An estate tax, charged on property over a certain value left to someone at the death of another person. Duties and custom tax, charged on certain goods made in foreign countries and brought to the United States. And income tax, charged on the amount of money earned by a person each year. People who earn a great deal of money are taxed at a higher percentage than people who earn less money.
How do most people pay their income tax in the United States now?
Depending on how much they earn, a certain percentage is deducted from their wages every week and paid to the government. At the end of each year, every taxpayer fills out an income tax return, showing how much tax is finally due. If too much has been deducted from his wages, the amount of overpayment is returned to him. If not enough has been deducted from his wages, he pays the additional amount due.
Must aliens, that is, people from other countries who live in the United States but are not citizens, must aliens pay taxes?
Yes, aliens pay the same taxes as citizens.
In every nation, in every age, there have been taxes and taxes. In the United States of America, there is this one great distinction. No tax may long exist which does not meet with the approval of the majority of the people. The existing taxes in the United States are approved and supported by the majority of the people because they are the means by which we provide for the people those things which no individual could possibly provide for himself.
The entire history of a great nation is not to be learned in days or months or even years. The working of government in a free society is not to be fully understood simply by acquaintance with its forms. Nor is the heart of a free people fully revealed to a casual observer. Yet, these lessons should give you a foundation upon which to build a greater knowledge and understanding of the United States of America, a base from which to look forward with pride and confidence to your future as an American citizen. We look forward with you to the day when you will repeat with all your mind and heart these words of the oath of allegiance.
I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to same, and that I take this obligation freely and without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion. So help me God.